Alright, so I'm not just doing this for the sake of looking at myself in the mirror. I wanted to show you something, because in a previous video I was talking about how muscles sometimes cross more than one joint. And so the position of our body, or the position of one joint, could affect how that muscle acts at another joint. Here's a good example. I think this is a great little demonstration of this. I was talking about the biceps specifically. Again, there are two heads, right? The long head and the short head of the biceps brachii. And how those muscles not only cross the elbow joint, they also cross the shoulder. They're really tri-articular because they also affect radial ulnar joint position. So really, if you want to get technical, they're a three-joint muscle. But if you watch what happens with my arm here, I'm not trying to show off. I know I don't have massive guns or anything. But I want to show you something. I come up here. Now, if I supinate, obviously, my bicep shortens. See the muscle literally shortening right there. Okay? It gets, I don't know, an inch, between 1 and 2 inches shorter. Now check this out. Right? So I haven't done anything at the other joints that it crosses, but just there I can affect its length a little bit. I can shorten it there. And if I wanted to shorten it more, I could flex the shoulder. I could continue, right? Flexing my elbow and then just keep going back until I run out of room. Now this is fully shortened. Flexed shoulder, flexed elbow, and supinated radial ulnar joint, right? What if we do it at the other end, right? Obviously, if you can shorten at these different joints, it can be lengthened at these joints too. So again, here's a cool test. I encourage you to try this out, right? Keep your elbow straight, and without doing anything crazy with your shoulder blade or anything like that, or leaning, just moving your shoulder, see how far back you can go with your arm. Again, from hanging by the side, let your arm go back, try to lift it back as far as you can, and whenever you find where it taps out, you run out of range. Now, bend your elbow, and you'll notice you can go back even farther. If I try to straighten out from here, I have to come out of it a little bit. Again, come back from here. You can you can lengthen the bicep a certain amount here. And then if you flex your elbow, you put some slack in it, it lets you go a little farther. So try that out and, experiment with it. Helps you, I think, appreciate how muscle lengths change at more than one joint when you have a joint that's multi-articular, and how that can affect the way you're able to move, how much range of motion you have. Another example of this is at the hip, right? We're talking about hip extensors and how much range they have. We all know this. This is intuitive. If I pick my leg up with a straight knee, apologize for my awful tan, right? I can flex my hip a certain amount, and then my hamstrings start to get really, really tight. Now I can continue to flex my hip if I flex my knee. Why? Well, because I've just shortened the hamstrings. I've just shortened muscles that were getting lengthened by hip flexion, right? Because the hamstrings, 3 of the 4, cross the knee joint and the hip joint. So they flex the knee and they extend the hip. So if I'm flexing the hip, then, well, that's a lengthening action for those muscles. If I also have an extended knee, that means I'm really lengthening those guys a lot. So they're running out. I'm running out of tissue. I can't lengthen anymore here. But if I put some slack in it by flexing my knee, now I can go higher. And at that point, I was actually limited by my shorts a little bit. So again, it's an example of muscles that cross more than one joint and thus affect motion at more than one joint. And what you're doing at one joint can affect how that muscle works at another one. So experiment with that, play with that, and always keep investigating, keep learning, and realize that exercise is much deeper and much richer than you think.